everyone. Welcome to Spiritism at Noon, promoted by the Spiritist Group of New York. We are currently reading and commenting from the book A Full Life, written by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the medium Divaldo Franco. So today we are going to be reading chapter 13. So let me share the screen with you. Okay. Life and immortality. The universe is a living being that expands and contracts, compelled by unimaginable forces in an infinite continuum. Everything that moves is a sign of action, and therefore everlasting life in motion. That is why life is everywhere, proving to be unstoppable. From the most primary to the most colossal vibrational expressions, there is life growing and acquiring progressive capabilities that transcend even the most sagacious observation. Human beings reach the pinnacle of life the moment they can think and understand the purposes relating to their being. From the very first molecular arrangements to the balanced establishment of all that gives form and understanding to human beings, life reached one of the most harmonic and beautiful stages of the evolutionary process. The energy that gathered the innumerable segments that would transform into organs until reaching the art of thinking, understanding, and co creating is the intelligent principle of the universe, as defined by the spirits of the Lord in the answer to question 23 of the Spirit's book. That principle, therefore, represents the initial phase in the creative experience, which will never cease to develop its inconceivable, enormous, and imminent potential. Thus, human life is a blessing that beings conquer during their evolutionary process through mutations and incessant activity to attain plenitude in this extraordinary journey of immortality. Nothing perishes because everything is in motion, even when imperceptible, and on its way to its destiny, referred to in Jesus' gospel at the kingdom of heaven, which is to be reached through personal effort. Thus, there is no death and no destruction in the sense of total annihilation. There is only continual transformation within the context of pre-established plan where the so-called chaos plays a part. Okay, I read a lot today because we had first to make sense of what Joanna de Angelis is talking about. And she's talking about nothing less, than the life of the spirit. She's basically describing to us the extraordinary uh, thing that is life, that is human life, and how it came about. So she's talking about a lot of mutations, transmutation, arrangements, rearrangements, molecular arrangements, like she says, everything that is started gathering for us to first being capable of manifest through intelligent principle as intelligent principle until we reach a more perfectible stage where we would acquire the possibility of thinking, of reasoning, of communicating as spirits, as immortal spirits. But she makes a point here, which is from the moment this process starts, there is nothing in the universe that can destroy us. So from the moment we started developing, going through the different kingdoms, um, and minerals, um, vegetables, animals, and humanoid, there is nothing that is going to stop us. There will be no more um, death as we imagine as being the end of everything. There is no annihilation, as she says here. There will continue always to be this kind of progress. Perhaps, like, in 1,000 years, we are going, or 2,000 years, 5,000 years, we're going to look back at us like what would be pictures of us, our selfies, and would look at it as being, cave people, caveman people, right? Because this is how we are going to be developing. And I think it's so beautiful the way she put it there. And she makes this a point of us reflecting on life and immortality, because there are so many things that happen to us, especially in the stage where we don't know much, we don't understand much, that we look at ourselves and perhaps we think that we are a failure. But how can we be a failure, first of all, if we are children of God? And how can we not succeed and continue evolving if immortality is the process? And even when we come to the realization that perhaps we took bad turns in life, life offers us opportunities to continue this process of growing and making amends, and doing our best to change whatever we think it was not, we were not happy with how the process came. But the important thing is there will be time, there will be opportunity. We cannot put the weight of, now that we are beginning to understand all that we are beginning to grasp at the idea that we are immortal, you know, uh, thinking too much about the past and focusing more on how I should try to change the past, that is impossible, than actually being present in the present and doing something more productive for the future. It's energy waste that is only going to take us to depression, to not feeling good about ourselves, to get distracted, and not believing in the potential that exists in us and that exists, I mean, of course, in God that is taking care of each one of us. So this is, I think, it's a very important reflection that she gives to us, even when she says here, even the so-called chaos. Sometimes, like when we study in the law of destruction in the Spirit's book, the third part of the Spirit's book, moral laws, when it shows that if there is decay, if there is physical, organic death, there will never be the spirit death or destruction. Any comments or questions? Okay.
If it were not you, Sarah, I didn't understand anything. I swear, sorry. It's too complicated. I just understood when you are reading that she's talking about creation, the beginning of the life, but you clarify so much, so I understood everything now.
Yeah, I have to confess to you, the first time I read it, I also like, oh, what?
Yes, I'm like this. I don't know what are we talking about.
Yeah, it is very, very elaborate, a very elaborated way, because can you imagine you being a superior spirit and having the condition of understanding more? Let me try to get an example. Try to explain what we are doing now. Okay, having a Zoom meeting with people in different parts. Sometimes we are in different parts of the world, right? To a caveman. What kind of vocabulary can you use to try to explain the grandiosity of this moment where, with the expansion of the universe and the creation of life, we start, growing and appearing and becoming each time more and more elaborated in a few paragraphs, and in a way that we still can grasp a little bit of what she's trying to tell us, right? To describe.
Yes, it's complicated.
Yeah. Mhm. But that's why I thought, if I had to stop it at the middle before, there would we would be missing some complementation that she gives. So this whole process, like I said, I think it's for us to think about life and immortality, and think about everything. Sometimes, when we wish we had time to do some things that we know that we will not be able to do, or to acquire some knowledge, or to solve some problems, or to fix some situations. There will be time for all of that, because we will have time to do all of that. And at the same time, I think the way that she describes that, we sometimes we are so uh, anxious and impatient, because when we want to fix something that has been, unfixable for so many incarnations, let's say, we have to understand that it is a process as well. Again, it's not that we are going to plant the seed today. Like, for instance, sometimes, in our lives, like others did in the life of our children, sometimes we want to send and to give them moral values, but it's like, just putting the seed on the soil, that sometimes is not so great, but the seed is there. It's not killing the seed. Okay, the soil is not that good. It's going to take time to germinate, but it doesn't mean that the seed is there. And of course, in our worries and impatience, we want to see the results, even in ourselves. When we think about ourselves, come on, you know that. How come you still behave like this? You still have thoughts such as the ones that you are having. You know better. So here we are confronted with two situations: whether we accept ourselves and know that we are a working process, or we are going to be beating ourselves up to the point that we are going to be stagnant, staying in the same place, not doing what we have to do, and just feeling sorry for ourselves because I should know better. I should have done more. I mean, what is gone is gone. I have to think about now and be taking control of the now. And sometimes, we talk about, we have some examples, and they were not a few lately, people that came to us talking about, the difficult times and relationships they had with their parents. But age comes, for the parents. And for one reason or the other, the children are obliged or feel the duty to be closer. And even sometimes considering that the parents are in pain or this or that. And, in the last 1 month, 2 months, a year, of having this relationship that you have to be closer, taking more care of one parent or the other, everything that represents, like, 30, 40, 50 years of existence of bad relationships, of a sudden it starts coming into place. So there is always hope. And the seeds are there. The seeds are always there. Even when we do not see them sprout, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden there will come a rain that is going to water the soil so much and so well that the seed starts sprouting. And sometimes, this rain is really a torment, right? It's a storm, so to say, a storm that sometimes this is the only way we are going to wake up with, only some storms in our lives. But I think this is what she's trying to convey here. Think that you are alive, you are immortal, and not even being created by God, you became ready the following day. It's not like that image that, and God went there and blew breath into Adam's mouth, and there we have Adam and Eve after that. No, it's not like that. Any comment or question? So let's, yes, Anya, you're going to say something? No, okay. So let's read some more. The human senses are much too poor to detect the greatness and the majesty of the phenomenon we call life, especially human life, which challenges the keenest observers due to its infinitely subtle complexity, the spirit, its semi-material element, the perispirit, and the physical body in an energy interpretation of high intensity. So imagine all of that together, right? We combine spirit, the thinking being of the universe, the intelligent being of the universe, with an intermediary body that is the spirit, and then the physical body that is perishable, but not the spirit, not us. So when the physical organization no longer receives the sustaining force that comes from the spirit, the perispiritual bonds are loosened and the separation of the intelligent principle occurs. This phenomenon called death is a phase for the reassessment of the values that the spirit harbored during its physical journey. So, it's like um, taking a break, right? Now you go experience life with a physical body. And now you take a break to reassess everything that happened during this time that we had a physical body. And this phase is when we are in the spirit world. Then it comes a point where we will come back. The break is finished. I reassess that everything. Let's go again. And comes another phase in our life. So the spirit returned to its origin, the spirit world, enveloped in the perispirit. So we still have a semi-material physical body, right? Where the vibrational waves of its moral behavior are impressed, allowing it to gain access to higher level or having it repeat the material experience in new reincarnation. So what is it saying here? That although we don't have the physical body anymore, we're still the same. Everything I know, everything I feel, the way that I am, I'm still the same. It doesn't matter, I carry with me everything that I got so far. And when it comes a time for returning to the physical body, we will come with all this knowledge, all this information. It's just adding more and more. So, liberation from the physical body gives rise to consequences compatible with the moral qualities that characterize an immortal spirit. Death constituting the separation of the spirit from its physical body, while disincarnation occurs with the spirit's separation from its physical remains in the process of transformation produced by the inorganic chemistry of nature or by the factors that produce the phenomenon. Thus, death is the transfer from one vibrational state to another in which all beings move. Each individual lives in the energy field he or she are entitled to, resulting in their happiness or misfortune. That is why life demands moral principles to be experienced by all individuals. In terms of spirit life, we know already from the books by Andre Lewis, Psychography of Chico Xavier, about the spiritual life in terms of being in places that are more pleasant than others, right? Where we will have according to our let's say, to what we have amassed in terms of moral, in terms of deeds that we practice, all of this, we are going to be in happier or unhappier neighborhoods, so to say, in the spirit realm. But when it comes to life, according to life understanding, it's not about the neighborhood anymore. It's about what we truly are. We may be in a very nice neighborhood according to material standards and live a life, a mental life, a moral life of hell, and be in a very poor situation, shanty houses, and live in peace of mind, with morals. So, this is what the spirits are going to store according to their experience, according to their deeds. But then again, the point here is there is no ending. There is no death. There is always opportunity. And if we are not in a very good position today, other opportunities are going to be presented to us so that we can grow. Any comments or questions?
Sara, after no solar one, I always afraid to go to umbral. I need to say this is the. I always thinking I'm going to umbral because in my mind, I always could do more, and I'm not doing. So I always thinking I should do something more. I and I don't know. I always, start with these thoughts in my mind. No, I'm going to umbral. Doesn't matter. I don't know if it's just me has this kind of thoughts, but I'm thinking, she's talking about go to your mental vibration. I mean, I have good thoughts, but sometimes I had bad thoughts. So, I don't know.
Yeah, one thing is, even if you go, the good news is you don't have to remain there.
Yes.
Okay?
It's easier. It seems easy. Just, I don't know. Andre Luis was there, just one pray, and he was not there anymore. It's like easy. this way?
Yeah, I mean, everything that they are talking here is about moral, your moral understanding. And in terms of moral understanding, when we truly repent, it means that. It means if you truly repent, if you truly are aware that you should take a different way, they will know. I mean, it's not they, it's not spirits that are there to, you no longer will be combining with their element. It's like all of a sudden, it's all oil and vinegar in the same container. Okay. There will be a time that you will be oil and or vinegar and will remain among vinegar or and oil as but there I guess I make it confusing now. What I'm trying to say is that there is no way that it can combine anymore. You see, even if you put in the same container, it's not going to be together. It's going to separate. So even if you are at the umbral, when you start uh, change, this energy, uh, you no longer fit in that place.
Okay.
And so again, even if by any chance we go there, it doesn't mean that we have to stay. And um and we um and we are having the opportunity now to try to guarantee, because you see, again, remember the parable of the last hour. It is not about if you started when you were 60 years old to make this transformation. As you made the transformation. So it's not anymore about the past. You're only going to remain in a hell, in an umbral, in a bad situations if you stuck yourself in guilt. And this is not productive. This is not good for us. I mean, I'm going to look bad and think I should have done different. I should have done more. I didn't. So now I have to learn from the lesson and move on. So it's being conscious. Okay. I know this is very hard. It's very difficult for us not to look in the past. And I mean, sometimes, when we look at today, there is so much modern psychology and ways of, dealing with your children and educate your children. And you said, oh my God, I mean, I had this knowledge when I was young, and I could have done better. But you see, what is done is done. We cannot just go back there and say, okay, be a child again because I want to start the whole process. Not in this lifetime. This is when we will have new opportunities to continue the process. Because even if there is something missing, and we say, oh, I wish I had done that. Don't look at the cup half empty. Look at the half full. I mean, yeah, it's true. I didn't do that, but there's so much that I did. Okay. And sometimes because we stuck so much in this kind of judgment of ourselves, we miss it. We miss, okay, there is a lot of things that I didn't do that I messed up, but there is a lot of things that I did. I was there, I was present. Okay, I gave what I had, what I knew, what I understand. And I mean, how can you build a house with two sticks? And sometimes, this is what we are doing. I mean, in this incarnation, I only had two sticks. Maybe next time I'll have four or six, and I'll be able to continue the building, the construction. And this is how it happens. And so that's what I think is very important. But I think everyone has this, sort of concern. And I think it's not in our hand. And worst case scenario, really pray from your heart and say, I really want to learn. I really want to grow. Help me do that. Sonia?
Every time when I fail in my propose, I feel like that. Oh my goodness, I should did this. I should. And now I I think in 10 items in past I failed 9. Now I fail only 7. Wow, I'm in progress. The
Mm,
same 10 items. Then I need to work on myself.
yeah.
Then step by step, because every time when I fail and starting the process, oh, I should do it, I should do it. It's like close the doors.
Mm-hmm.
Then I, no, okay, I fail. Now I change my position. I'm going to change. I'm going to take different way.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance my fails and
Yeah.
try to renew, to do different.
Mm-hmm. Because
Not perfect, but I'm still trying.
this is very important, really, Sonia, because it doesn't mean that we are what we are saying here, that we are going to ignore the past and not necessarily have our regrets. But the case here is having positive regrets, is about thinking, okay, and not even trying to find excuses, because sometimes we say, oh, I didn't have help, or I was too young, or I had to work too much, or yeah, all of that, all of the above. Of course there were things that prevented you from, from doing more. But again, you look at this, you have to look we have to look at the situation, and just, forgive ourselves, because otherwise we're going to be stuck in this guilt that is not going to help us at all, you see. So this is the productive way of looking back, analyzing, assessing, but saying, now I know better. Now I have the responsibility of doing better, and continue. And I mean, it's the same with everyone. It's the same with everyone. I doubt there is one single human being on this planet that has not regret, right? And it's not like, okay, the just very dismissive of the things. And no, is, I see, I realize, uh, maybe I could have done better, maybe no, because it's always easy for us to say, oh, maybe if I had taken a different turn, we don't know. Maybe this was, the road that we had to track all the time. And we did the best according to our possibilities. And I think the idea is that I will continue doing the best according to my possibilities. And to do that, I have to be conscious. I have to understand that, you know, how magnificent, like she says here, life is, for all of that to be combined, and us here today being talking about it. We have no clue how immense and the grandeur of all of this. And then again is, we are immortal, and there will be always time for us to improve. But I will not improve if I don't have this knowledge, don't want to have it, or even when I do not try hard, or if remain in the past where I cannot change, where I'm going to be putting all my energy and do nothing for the present or the future. So that's the thing. Any more comments? This lesson is so big. I don't um I'll try to read the rest and then we comment, okay? The spirit's intellectual and moral development takes place during phases on the earth and the spirit world alternatively, where it learns to understand the reality of life. So we keep coming back and forth, okay? For that reason, the laws that govern the universe establish codes and programs that enable the acquisition of knowledge and develop the divine talents that lay dormant at the core of the essential being. When such codes are respected, new challenges and even broader horizons emerge, providing well being and offering encouragement for the continuation of the process. Conversely, when the existential lessons are not valued, individuals remain in the primitive phases amid aggressive instincts and unutilized emotional potential. Reincarnation is the precious resource that life offers to all those who journey in search of plenitude. First and foremost, the loss of love is foundation for all the other laws, because it allows for the expansion of knowledge and the control of environmental and social expressions, which are a school where individuals learn to conquer themselves since impulses and emotions come from within. This law sustains the law of progress, which in turn benefits to the law of justice, the law of work, the law of solidarity, the law of forgiveness, and the law of destruction. Periodically, students in the school at the schoolhouse earth are called to give an account of the resources that were entrusted to them and how they were applied. This accounting process comes with death, the transfer to another existential dimension in order to access the tasks assigned to each individual. All living beings periodically experience this inevitable transformation, which is a stage of the immortal journey. Naturally, at the time of death, those still living feel the absence of their departed loved ones in the context of family, the social group, the spiritual community. That heartache can and must be overcome by the certainty of the opportune reencounter when the loved one presently on earth also embarks in his or her own journey to the great beyond. Do not be disheartened or lose sight of your existential purpose when those you love are asked to return ahead of you. Continue to love them and remember the happy lifetimes you spent together. Do the good in their memory, which is an efficient way to show your gratitude for the gifts enjoyed in their company. Death is an inevitable experience for the conquest of perennity. Do not lament or praise it. Respect it and prepare yourselves for when your time comes. Even Jesus, the divine builder of the planet, used a tangible body to later experience the phenomena of death and reemerge in a glorious form of light. In the meantime, love and work for the benefit of the good, growing towards God. So here is very much what we were talking about, right? Um, how when we have the opportunity of reincarnation, we can come and develop more and learn more things. And we have to think that if we are still reincarnating, it's because there is still too much to learn, which means we are not perfect, which means there are many lessons that we still do not know, and many tools we still have to acquire that we haven't yet. So, how can we expect perfection on our part, right, on our behaviors if we still are not equipped to do so. But like she says, there will be opportunities. There are fundamental laws, the natural laws that we study in the Spirit's book. Like she talks about here, the law of progress, justice, work, solidarity, forgiveness, destruction, and above all, the law of love. And then she comes to a point where she says, and there is a purpose for us to stay, to 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 be and have an internship, so to say, in planet Earth, because true life is the spirit life, this life in the spiritual world, right? So we come to life in with a material body as an to have an internship, to learn more, to develop more, and when we come back, we are going to access, according to what we did, what other lessons we will need for a new internship. And one thing that she says here, for this reason of understanding life and immortality, we shouldn't uh, be so overtaking when it comes the time where we have to depart from planet Earth in the physical body, or a loved one has to do this journey. Because it doesn't mean that we are going to be separated forever. It's just for some time we will no longer be physically present, but it doesn't even mean that we are not going to be spiritually present. That's why she says, you know, send your love, send your gratitude, do good deeds on behalf of them, and because we are not going to we are not going to lose them. We are going to have other opportunities, you see. Any comments or questions?
Yes, Sarah. Mhm. I think this is such a beautiful, beautiful lesson. It's so perfect. And especially now that we're starting a new year, a new way of thinking, changing and helping each other, another new start. And, reincarnation, like she says, it gives us more. Reincarnation is for us to come back and get to know who we are and learn and understand who and why we're here, to learn to grow until that time. And then through learning, sometimes it's not a success sometimes. Sometimes we just don't get it and we go over and over until we try to make things right. But sometimes it doesn't happen. But we're here to learn. That's why we come back so many times, and we'll continue to come back until slowly but surely get a little better. But to have this opportunity to coming back, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful world that God has given us to learn and continue, not to give up. And yes, we're going to go through our challenges and suffering, but there's a reason for everything. The more we learn, the more we grow. And sometimes we don't. We suffer through it, but it's not suffering, it's learning. We have to understand using words to clear our understanding. We suffer, but it's actually the learning process. Until we get it right. And so as we always say, we pray and allow God to be with us and our spiritual benefactors and all that are with us to help us and guide us. And sometimes they'll get it right. Sometimes they're not going to get it right.
Yeah.
And have faith. We will get it right. I'm sure we will. We have all the materials in our hands here. Well, we're learning right now. It's so important and so valuable that
Mm-hmm.
we are protected and guided, and and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful lesson. It's
Yeah. You see, Soraya, then there is something else. We are just responsible for ourselves.
right.
Sometimes we want to take the burden of others, right? Sometimes, especially us, parents, who are parents, sometimes, we want to look at our children and say, all the wrong that is happening to them is because I didn't provide them a good education or whatever, but it's not. It's always 50-50. Of course, we have, especially as parents, we have a huge responsibility in conducting our children. But at the end of the day, even when it happens with ourselves, how many things we learned that we dismissed. And maybe just later in life, we started analyzing them and saying, you know what? Those people that were teaching me to do this or that, they were right, but it was my choice not to follow this path. So we cannot carry the burden of responsibility for what others are not doing. And this is very much like here I come as a spiritual instructor, okay, and I'm here, sharing with you these lessons, reflecting with you those lessons. But at the end of the day, you can say, none of them are interesting for me. I don't sympathize with none of that. Or I think they are impossible dreams. I'll never be able to do that. Or, you can uh, uh, put that in your lives or internalize that or not, right? And I mean, this is something that is happening all the time. Life is teaching us so many things, and we don't know, right? We really don't know many times, or we don't learn from those lessons, and that's why we have to repeat. And this is the good thing. It's not that if I don't learn the first time that I'm not going to have other opportunities. Okay, they may be more difficult to come or more difficult to go through, but I will have other opportunities. And I think this is what we should we should we should think about it. I remember uh, when my father died. My father was kind of difficult, and very difficult. And I went to do the eulogy at the church, and I started talking about, how impaired we all are to conduct other people's life. And saying that from my perspective, even if there was a lot missing, I now being older, I could understand that he gave what he had, because there is a difference in you giving 100% quality versus you giving 100% of yourself. You see, I'm not 100% quality. I'm just 20. But from this 20, I'm going to give 100. And I think this is the match that we have to do. It's not that I didn't give everything, it's that this was all that I had to give at that time. And perhaps it was not enough, but it was all I had to do. So I was, as what I was saying about that, he gave all he could. There were so many people, that came to talk to me after, saying, "Thank God for your words, because I'm going to become to start looking at my parents from a different perspective now." You see, and I think this is what it is. We just have the responsibility with us. With once we learn, we have to do the utmost to internalize those teachings and to share them. But I can give you more than I have. And for the moment, we have to be very happy because we had so much less before, right? And this is a new day, a um, new acknowledgement of where I am, and keep on going in this journey. Okay. So thank you so much. Let me